All right, guys. I'm watching Crawford versus Madrimov again. I feel like I watched enough Canelo. Kind of know what he's gonna do already. What I'm trying to aim at is trying to find where Crawford has a chance. Honestly, the only place he has a chance is if Canelo, his strength cannot hurt him, or he's standing in the pocket and Canelo's just too slow, which I don't think so. He's not slow where he's never gonna hit Crawford. There's gonna be a time where he hits Crawford, he connects with them. And so I've kind of came up with my own theory in my head what's gonna happen. My own non-experimental judgment. Just literally what I'm observing. A couple things that are not what I've seen in the ring. And a point, a coordinate where I think could be part of the reason why we'll be disappointed is because Crawford's 38. He's getting the biggest paycheck of his life. And he's already on his way out, guys. Who else is there for him to fight that makes any sense? Is he just going to be... If he has the performance of his lifetime, he beats Canelo, I think his margin moves a little bit. His fan base may grow, but again, he's not young. How much is it really going to grow? Does he fight again? I don't know. I think he sails off into the sunset. I think he's a responsible individual. I think he's done well with his money. I think he's getting paid the biggest fight of his life. So I think there's a chance. And this is where the vision in my head of what I think is going to happen in the ring is that there's gonna be a point in the ring where we're like, how come you're not throwing? How come you're not throwing? He may stalemate Canelo. I'm not saying he's gonna win. I just think he's gonna do enough not to get knocked out. I just see that. We see Max Kellerman. You got Mario Lopez. You got Antonio Tarver. You got Ryan Garcia doing some little segments. You got all this talk, right? But when that fades away, when all that talk fades away, what else is left, you know? And I just don't really see him being able to beat Canelo anywhere. I haven't seen the weigh-ins. I think these are promotional weigh-ins. These are, what do they call it? Press conference weigh-ins. And so they're not... I forgot what the fuck they call them. And I just don't see it. I'm literally on the first round of Crawford versus what the fuck's his name? Madrimov. And Crawford stands. He stands there. He stands there. But even then, a little bit, you see him backing up. Even just a little bit. And in boxing, sometimes the guy throws punches just to keep a guy off. You see the way Topuria, Max Holloway, they all throw punches. A lot of times the guy's throwing a lot of punches because he could just feel the presence of the other guy. Until that doesn't work anymore. And so, I think the only chance Crawford has is just picking his punches very, very carefully. And just controlling the fight and looking how Mayweather won his fights. Like, De La Hoya beat Mayweather. He was backing him up. Even just the pressure he applied on him, even if a lot of it wasn't hitting him, a lot of it wasn't pretty defense. Maybe towards the end of the fight, I watched that fight. I didn't get to the end of the fight. I saw a lot of Oscar De La Hoya putting more pressure on a man who was up against the ring, up against the ropes, moving frantically. And but obviously you saw a great skill, or I'm sure if I watch it again, I'll see great skill from Mayweather. But the only thing I could see Crawford doing is being too aggressive and getting knocked out. Again, Canelo, if you bring the fight to him, he's gonna fight you. And we might see a fucking disappointment. We might see a guy that doesn't ever let go, doesn't break his guard, doesn't take a chance. And I feel that's more likely, depending upon how Canelo approaches it. If Canelo applies the pressure, you might see him like, oh fuck, I can't handle this shit. So I'm never gonna let go. I'm never gonna let my hands go. And I think where pride comes in is he's not gonna let himself get beat up. And which we might see a little bit of backpedal. We're not gonna see fucking running like Skull, like sidestep running. We might see a smart man who evades punches, but I don't see him able to. Canelo will take his power, I think. Will we see for the first time in a long time? I don't know, because even, again, if you rewatch the Bivol fight, Canelo did what he always does. It's just his strength wasn't enough to hurt Bivol. Bivol was just a bigger man, naturally bigger, and still young enough, not like a Kovalev, but young enough to withstand the power, withstand the punches. And so towards the end of the fight, when Canelo was already tired from putting his all into like one or two punches every time he throws, because he was still doing that towards the end of the fight, but that one or two punches, when he had to recuperate, Bivol had enough energy left to let off his flurries, his combinations, his 3 to 4 to 5 punch combinations, which looked good. It wasn't hurting Canelo, but looked good for him to win. But again, Canelo was still able to back him up from the beginning of the fight. From what I can remember, when I say the beginning, the first 4 rounds, give me a little grace. From what I can remember. So I either see, we're gonna find out the power differential, and from the eye test, Crawford, even with Bivol, never hurt Bivol. And even towards the end of that fight, it wasn't like the Virgil Ortiz versus Madrimov. From the Madrimov fight, it wasn't like Virgil versus Madrimov, where Virgil, young, just a dog. Like, he takes a lot of damage, but he gives it too. Was still doing really well at the end of that fight. Crawford versus Madrimov, on the other hand, Madrimov he was more fresh towards the end of that fight. If you rewatch it, which I'm doing right now, I will maybe. By tomorrow's fight, I will rewatch it. I think there's a good chance. There is a chance I might not. So from the eye test, I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a little part of him maybe he's a little cautious because he's mentally. That's psychological. There is a factor there. With my first fight at 154, I got to be careful. Maybe I got to back up a little bit. And now you're jumping 160 to 168 to fight a guy who in his career, he jumped up as the little man to these divisions and faced bigger guys. And yet, as a naturally smaller guy in those divisions, and his body is developed for that division, and he's undisputed in that division, seeing from how Crawford did against Madrimov and how it was just close. He won, but it was close, meaning it was like he didn't dominate him, he didn't beat him up. And Madrimov's a tricky guy, but still, Virgil Ortiz, with his pressure and his aggressiveness, could be the youth, but Crawford, he's a boxer with power for the divisions he was in, you know, he didn't take a lot of damage, I don't think. I haven't watched enough about Crawford. Like, I didn't follow his career a lot. But you could say if he had taken advantage of his skill like Canelo did, he would have moved up, kind of like Canelo, chasing multiple divisions. But instead, he dominated his divisions, being 2-time undisputed. And, yeah, I mean, I don't see it, but which makes me very intrigued to watch it. But I won't be surprised because boxing does that a lot, where a guy just holds his punches and it just doesn't turn out how it's supposed to. You know? I've seen that before many times. And honestly, the only way the fight I think is going to be exciting if both of them are willing to stand and trade and one of them goes out on their shield. And it would be a huge upset if Canelo... I don't see Canelo being dominated unless Crawford's power is respected by Canelo, in which we'll see. If the powers are respected by both men, we're going to see a war. If for some reason there's a fucking... Canelo just respects Crawford's punches, it would be a big disappointment, a big like, oh fuck, a big shock to the world. If Canelo gets knocked out or dominated. But Canelo's a dog. He has a dog in him. He might not like have the necessary skill if you don't bring the fight to him to fucking chase you down and get you out of there. Or the cleverness. It's a little one-dimensional sometimes. But that one dimension happens to be power and backing you down. And we're gonna have to see. Crawford's gonna have to take what he can get. And if he gets the win, it's not going to be to how people like it. It's going to be how Canelo's fans are going to be like, he ran, but he won. Yeah, I know, because he made Canelo like the matador. Canelo was chasing him, but he did enough to jab. Like, you know, but again, there's an age factor that balances that out for Canelo. 38 years old. So I think most likely we're going to see a Crawford that doesn't really let his hands go. And we're going to find that out in the later rounds because it's going to be that power differential. And I give Crawford credit for never mentioning the steroids thing. Because I don't know if I would have been able to do that. I would have been like, you're on steroids or whatever. We might hear that afterwards, just depending on how the fight ends. Because that is a factor, man. Canelo got caught doing steroids. His old camp gets caught doing them. Canelo has like a huge ass neck. I'm sure he works out a lot, but there's just certain things, you know. And I'm sure boxers have a certain steroid they take. That's not going to get them all bulky. A steroid that helps them heal and helps them train extra hard and helps them go a little further and help them reach a certain higher level of conditioning, recovery, you know, reflexibility. So I just don't see Crawford winning. But that might be intriguing, you know. So we'll see.